So a question has come up about Tibetan artists and really who they are, how many do we know of, and what literature and publications do we have? Well, this is actually a big topic. No, we haven't talked about it very much. We've done a short video on misconceptions concerning artists in Himalayan art, but this is more of to do with often religious context than actual art history. Now, there is one book that is in English, and it's really the best book and possibly the only book, but it's quite large. It's very thorough, and it's called A History of Tibetan Painting, The Great Tibetan Painters and Their Traditions. That's by David Jackson, published by Verlag, and that's out of I think Germany, and then it was 1996. And David Jackson goes through it quite chronologically, actually, and he has some good glossary and indices and references in the back as well. Now we'll do a book review on that, a book review video. But what I want to do right now is just lay out the groundwork for understanding Tibetan artists. What we have is artists who are named for traditions, like the Menri style after Mentongpa, Khenri after Khyentse Chemmo. We have Chiugang tradition art named after Chiugangpa, the artist. We have these sorts of names of artists and traditions, but this is not altogether helpful. It's more like a kind of an overall context of where we come from and where we are today in terms of how we label different styles of art or different schools or traditions of artists. But it's not that helpful otherwise without going into two more topics. And the two other topics are artists that are known for their art and artists that are known through literature and not through their art. We have many names of artists, but we don't know what their art looks like. They're just mentioned. And one of the most famous is actually Mentongpa, the founder supposedly of the Menri tradition. And we essentially have no examples of his art. Whereas Khyentse Chenmo, the founder of the Khenri style, yes, we have a lot of murals in Gongkar Chodeh Monastery. And then Chiugangpa, of the Chiugang style of art, we have no examples at all. All we have is textual references going back 500 years. So what's important here is to make these two divisions very clear and very clean. Who are the artists known for their art and who are the artists only known through literature? So on the Har website, what we've done is divided it up just chronologically. And so in the 15th century, what we've done is we've put Chiugangpa, even though it's also said that he's in the 14th and 13th century by some Tibetan scholars based on some literature. Then for sculpture in the 15th century, we have Sonam Gyaltsen, we have Khyentse Chemmo, we have Mentongpa. The only art we have is Sonam Gyaltsen with sculpture and Khyentse Chemmo with murals. Then in the 16th century, we have Trenkawa. Trenkawa was following supposedly in the Menri style, and all we have of his is one sketchbook. And we know it's Trenkawa only because there's a small inscription on the very last page of the book, and it's a bit of a colophon that says it's done by Trenkawa. In the 1600s, in the 17th century, we have the Karmakagyu teacher and the 10th Karmapa Choying Dorje, and we have examples of his painting and his sculpture. We have Garu Pandita Lobsang Sherab from Amdo, from the Rebkong area. We have examples of his murals and his scrollwork painting. And then we have the Mongolian, Zanabazar. And he, of course, goes from the 1600s into the 1700s as well. And we have examples both of his painting and sculpture really in the Zanabazar Museum in Ulaanbaatar. Then in the 1700s, the 18th century, we have one example by Diu Margeshe, And then we have no authenticated examples of anything by Situ Penchen Chukijungne, but we do have examples within of the Palpung style designed and invented by Situ Penchen. We have many examples from his artists in his monastery. And then we have Kunsik Chukinangwa of the Drukpa Kagyus, and he, of course, goes from the 1700s into 1800s, 1824 or after. We have two examples of his paintings. Then for the 1800s and 19th century, we have the very famous Kazi Lasso, and we have many, many, many examples of paintings. And then we have Trehor Namkagyen and his atelier, and he's from the, what is he, from the Kangse Valley in Dege, just east of Dege, across the mountains. And we have many, many examples of Trehor Namkagyen. So those are the painters right now where we actually know something about them from their painting, and we know something about them from literature. And then there are many, many names of artists where we don't have any context, we don't have any history, where we find names of a painter on a painting, or we find the name of a sculptor on a sculpture. So we do have that. We have a huge sort of basket of randomly named artists, but we have nowhere to place them other than stylistically to put them in some sort of time period. So this is just the beginning of an ongoing discussion about artists that are known for their art and artists that are known through literature. This is a very, very important distinction to be made. So we'll leave it there. You can press like. You can subscribe. You can join HAR on Patreon. You can also make a donation on the homepage of Himalayan Art Resources.